Hi guys, welcome back to Lost in My Library. My name's Kate. Today I am doing another ARC review over Into the Sublime, and this is by K.A. Borum. I would like to thank Book Sirens for giving me not Book Sirens. Wrong people. NetGalley. This I actually got through NetGalley. I've been going back and forth to do NetGalley, which are more well-known books, and Book Sirens, which are more indie published books, to give both a shot in my spotlight. Anyways, so this is a YA horror novel about four girls who go to this cave in hopes of, well, they're not really sure. This is the main girl, our main girl, Emily, doesn't fully tell to the girls. One of the girls knows about the lake that they're traveling to, which is called the Sublime. But you don't exactly know it. These characters are really like the two main characters in Emily and Devin. They are the only ones that get any kind of character arc, and even Devin really doesn't get that much of a character arc either, and Emily kind of does. Emily is very much an unreliable narrator. You don't really know what her deal is, and even in the end, you really don't fully know what Emily's deal is. Emily just doesn't trust people at all, hardly. She's very judgmental, and she jumps to conclusions quite fast on things. So at one point, Devin disappears, and when she comes back, Emily is very distrusting of her. And it has somewhat to do with her cousin who is in a coma. And that's really never explained either. What really happened with her cousin? How the Sublime fit in with this. It's never really explained, and it's confusing in a lot of ways. And the ending really just doesn't make sense. And at some point, you're building up to this lake in this book that these girls have gone missing. Like a lot of girls in the olden days had gone missing, and they thought that the witch had killed her, this witch, but no one really knows if the witch actually killed her or killed them, or if it was the lake sting. Nobody really knew. And you still don't really know anything. I feel like this story needed a better explanation. There really wasn't any. There was some paranormal aspects, but the paranormal aspects were never explained as to, yes, this is fully paranormal, or no, this is all in the head, or they were drugged is another explanation. Nothing is ever fully explained, and it doesn't help the story at all when it's either, yes, it is paranormal, what they're trying to find, or no, it's not paranormal, and there's an explanation behind the lake, what was happening in the lake, nothing is explained. There's a lot of setup with no payoff to it. And Gia and H, the other two characters in the story, don't have... They're stereotypes, in all honesty. Gia is this person who, like a scout. Best way to describe her is she's a scout. She's always prepared, but she's not one to want to share with other people. Until they get to the lake, and then she's like, yeah, I'll share. Okay. She just changes for very quickly the characters really change very quickly when they hit the lake. And it's not ever explained as to, like, okay, this is the lake's doing, or their journey so far has changed them in this way. But H was, I believe, also Emily also distrusted her for a little bit because of this person who they got the directions from. It's called Henrik. So she thought that maybe H was behind it. So Emily's very, very distrusting just off the bat. And she's also an unreliable narrator because she does a lot of shady stuff, and she's so hardcore about Devin being evil, and the other characters are just like, why? What? Like, Emily really has no reason to be so awful to Devin as she is. Because at that point, they're just trying to get out of the cave system. Because the place is basically kind of like falling apart at that point. And then also at the end, Devin stays. Devin stays in the cave. And Emily comes back and she's without Devin. And she's like, Devin decided to stay. Yeah, that sounds very... I mean, she stabs Gia on accident. But she stabs Gia. And then she says she's been very distrusting of Devin this entire time. And then she's like, we need to leave Devin. We need, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, Devin's decided. Yeah, that's very shady. Seems like, yeah, you definitely probably killed Devin there with how distrusting you have been of Devin. None of these characters are really all that fleshed out. Just did. That needed to be better. Atmosphere. Atmosphere is where this book really shines because the cave system is so cool, and the idea of the lake is really, really cool. It gives off vibes of The Descent, and that movie was really good. It sort of goes off that vibes, but there are no creatures in this one, like The Descent. But I think the atmosphere is what is the best part of the book. Writing, it's fine. But they set up Emily as telling this story. So the story starts with the girls being found by police officers after they've been missing for days. And so it's set up to be like Emily's telling the story, and I wish that the story kind of hinted more at Emily not telling the entire truth, because I think that could have been super interesting, of Emily not telling the entire truth when Gia and H aren't fully able to tell their side of the story. I think it could have been really interesting to set Emily up like that, but it's never set up like that. It's YA, so I guess that's it. as I've said, it's sort of an unreliable narrator, and wish that she could have leaned more into that. Unlike Mr. Riley Sager, who can't write any book that's not a freaking unreliable narrator. And yes, I just bought, I got my copy of the new book, House Across the Lake, today. Anyways, I had it sitting here, and it was just me and Riley Sager kind of go back and forth about that. I still need to read Survive the Night. Okay, anyways, back to this. Plot falls apart when they get to the lake. The book up to that point is them getting to the lake. And there's some spooky stuff happening up to the lake. And it's like, okay, I see where you're going. And then they get to the lake, and everything falls apart. Because the lore just, like, falls apart. Nobody really understands what's happening. Nobody can really prove or disprove that this is paranormal or this isn't paranormal. So everything just falls apart once they hit the lake. And it just, paranormal stops happening. And it just really isn't explained at all why this all stopped. Intrigued. I was intrigued by the lore. I was intrigued by the lake. And then get to the lake and it's nothing. And they're getting out. And that's nothing. Nothing happens. Really, hardly. Once they're trying to get out of the lake, I think paranormal happens. Devin decides to stay, and that's about it. I mean, and then there's sort of a thing that happens at the end. Really makes no sense when you've kind of set this up as the, as like, this isn't paranormal anymore. So, I don't know. Logic, it was following its logic up until the Lake City scene. And again, everything falls apart. Enjoyment, it's just meh. It's a YA horror. It definitely could have had more horror aspects to it. I would have enjoyed more horror aspects. Wish they leaned into the lore of the, either leaned into the lore of the lake, or it was one of the girls that is behind a lot of this stuff. Maybe it was our unreliable narrator, who knows. It just didn't lean into something hard enough to make this an enjoyable read, in my personal opinion. I ended up giving this 3 stars. It's really more like 2.5 to 3 stars. But the atmosphere is what's the coolest thing about this novel. It just didn't lean hard enough one way or another to make this enjoyable, in my personal opinion. So, that is my thoughts on Into the Sublime by K.A. Borum. This currently has a 3.430 stars on Goodreads. I still think that might be a little bit too high, but whatever. I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. Go be a good cabbage today. Do something kind for someone, even if that is for yourself. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.